for our final sermon of our series about living in faith, like the examples we have in Hebrews chapter 11 of Old Testament heroes. We're going to come to kind of a group of heroes that the author treats and reflects on all together as a group. We could call this kind of a hall of fame of faith, a hall of fame of God's people. I think also Abraham and Moses, the two characters that we looked at week before last and last week, also belong in this hall of fame. But here we see a number of people from every facet of Israel's life and every chapter, every era in Israel's history. We find representatives of that in this great hall of fame. We have kings, we have judges, those who managed Israel before the kings, of course, and then we have prophets, and we even have small-time heroes, people who were not technically of the house of Israel, but who played a meaningful role in the lives of the people. And so we're going to read about them all together, and what we're going to find is that all of these great heroes together in their own way and together as a group, they point our attention, our eyes, they focus our attention on Christ, the one who actually empowers this faith, this legendary faith by which these heroes all lived, and this same faith that we have that we can all live by today. And so I'm going to read it out loud now, and I welcome you to follow along with me. And then when I'm finished, I'll say, "This is the word of the Lord." And at that point, if you would like to respond in faith, I invite you to by saying, "Thanks be to God." But listen carefully. We are hearing the holy word of the Lord together in Hebrews chapter 11, verses 29 through 35, and then chapter 12, verses 1 through 2. By faith, the people passed through the Red Sea as if it were dry land. But when the Egyptians attempted to do so, they were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell after they had been encircled for 7 days. By faith, Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had received the spies in peace. What more should I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, of David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched raging fire, escaped the edge of the sword, won strength out of weakness, became mighty in war, and put foreign enemies to flight. Women received their dead by resurrection. Others were tortured, refusing to accept release in order to obtain a better resurrection. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely. And let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the sake of the joy that was set before him endured the cross, disregarding its shame, and has taken his seat at the right hand of the throne of God. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. The grass withers and the flower fades, but these words that we have read together will endure forever. Well, gosh, what a pantheon of heroes, right? Actually, we probably shouldn't say pantheon, because pantheon implies a divine status, which none of them are. None of them even claim to be, and we certainly don't worship them. We worship the one true God. But gosh, what a hall of fame. What an all-star team of faithful people. And, I imagine I'm not the only one, but even if I am, I beg that you would indulge me for a little bit here, because after having learned about these heroes, studying their lives, and having been awed by their faith. I hope we're all in awe of the faith that these people have. Having been in awe of their faith, but also in no small way intimidated by their faith, especially through the things that they endured. Having done all of that, I've kind of come to three reflections about this kind of faith, about mountain-moving faith, as our Lord would put it. Three reflections that I think are helpful to us and which can deepen our own faith so that it too may move mountains in its own way. My first reflection is this, and that is a life of faith never looks anything as cool or spectacular or as legendary day to day as it does in hindsight. For those of us who remember being children, this is much like struggling to perceive that we are growing physically. You know, families very often have growth charts on door frames, you know, where periodically the child will stand against the jamb of the door and get measured so that they can see, oh, wow, you know, 3 months ago I was down here and now I'm up here. It's because we can't see that we're growing. The day in, day out of growing is imperceivable to us. We need someone else to show us that we are grown. But when we look back, we see that we can, especially when finally we can reach up and reach the faucet in the bathroom without needing a footstool for the first time. I see parents struggle with this all the time with regard to their children. When we are immersed in the day in, day out, down and dirty nitty gritty of making lunches and preparing breakfasts and getting noses wiped and teeth brushed and in bed at a reasonable hour and correcting bad behavior and teaching good behavior, we often struggle to see how good we're doing. We struggle to see the good job that we are doing. We also constantly, I see parents doing this all the time. Oh Lord, I hope they're turning out all right. I'm just such a wretched parent. You just think, well, what makes you think you're a wretched parent? And inevitably, when I ask that question, I usually hear a comparison to some sort of an idealized and frankly arbitrary image of what a good parent is or what a good parent looks like. I mean, after all, I think this is why people will fight over or argue over parenting technique, because there's more than one way to do it. This is the exact same thing, though, for us in faith. Just like parents need someone to come alongside and say, hey, you're doing it well. You are doing a good job. Your kids are going to be just fine. We need this same thing with faith. And frankly, this is where our elders can really step up and step in. Grandparents, since you are no longer in the down and dirty daily grind of parenting, you are in a perfect position to spot in your grandchildren's lives and to encourage your children by saying, you're doing a great job, honey. You're doing a great job. Keep at it. It's working. I can see it. The kids are going to be fine. The same thing is true for us in faith. We need someone to come alongside us every now and again and show us how far we've come, or encourage us that we are doing something worthwhile, that our faith is actually making a difference. You know, Hebrews chapter 11, as we just read, praises the people of Israel for the faith by which they walked through the Dead Sea, or the Red Sea, as though it were dry land, right? We read about the Red Sea closing over the Egyptians afterward just now in our Exodus reading. But if you read what immediately came before, when the people had their backs to the sea and before God opened it for them, you would find their faith not very spectacular. That they cried out to Moses, and in fact they do this throughout their whole journey to the Promised Land. They cry out to Moses saying, why have you led us into the wilderness just to die? It would have been better to stay in Egypt. That doesn't sound like particularly good or legendary faith to me. But what I realized is we have two different understandings of this story, of what they have done. Exodus is caught up in the daily business, shows us blow by blow the life of the Israelites as they come out of slavery in Egypt and begin their journey toward the Promised Land. Hebrews, on the other hand, is looking from a 30,000-foot view and can see the legacy that they have passed on through the ages. Yes, they kicked and screamed. Yes, they rebelled. But ultimately they came along. They ended up crossing the river. They ended up safe on the other side. They could have just plain flatly refused and given themselves up to go back to slavery. But they didn't. They saw the works of the Lord and they followed. It wasn't pretty, but they did it. And so each telling of the story, both the 30,000-foot view and the ground view, are both equally valuable. They are both equally true. And this is something that you and I need to understand about our faith today. It doesn't look very good day in and day out sometimes, but we should never, ever undervalue the potency that our own faith has in someone else's life. Never underestimate the power of your faith in the life of someone else. It may be that all you can see is the failures. Maybe all that you can see right now are the places where you could have done better. God sees all of that, of course, but God also sees all of your successes. And God also sees you as you ultimately will become through the lens of Jesus Christ. Your imperfect faith is powerful and useful when it is perfected, when it is completed by the already perfect faithfulness of God. I'll say that again. Your imperfect faith is perfected by, is completed by God's own perfect faithfulness. That's my first reflection. My second reflection on faith is that the heroes of Scriptures, of the Scriptures, this great cloud of witnesses which surrounds us, are an encouragement. They are a wellspring of new life and new energy. You know, I was just talking with somebody this morning before the service began, but one of the reasons I watched the Seahawks 49ers football game last night, and boy, oh boy, did they lay the lumber on San Francisco. And one of the reasons why they were able to do that is because they played in their home stadium that is known for breaking world records for crowd noise, and the crowd was thunderously on their side. Thunderously on their side. All of the Chiefs fans in here know how Arrowhead Stadium can be. That's the other stadium that consistently sets world records for crowd noise. Nobody wants to go and be the away team at Arrowhead Stadium because of the noise that the crowd surrounding the field makes. Whereas if you play on the Chiefs team, you love playing at home because you have this great thunderous cloud of witnesses cheering you on. This is the exact same thing for us in faith with all of these heroes of the past. They are all around us thunderously cheering for us, cheering us to finish the race. And they are not here to be some sort of a yardstick by which we measure or compare ourselves. They're not in here to walk there and say, oh, there, kiddo, boy, you sure think you're great, but boy, look at me. No, that's not their role. They are not here to intimidate us or make any of us feel small, because we have to remember that the deeds which they did, the things which they endured, were things of their own time and not ours. God placed them in their age of history to do what God had called them to do. And God has placed us in ours to do what God has called us to do. Do not measure your faith against them. It's not a competition. You know, it's very, very tempting. Frankly, it's kind of a fun mental exercise to imagine yourself in the shoes of a great person of the past. Not just a hero of the Bible, but a hero of history. Tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day. So, sometimes it's kind of fun to imagine oneself in Dr. King's shoes and facing the issues that he faced and the tools with which he had to work and wonder, well, gosh, how would I have managed things? What kind of speech would I have made if I got to speak in front of the Lincoln Memorial to a large rally of people? Same thing is true for other great figures of the past. If not Dr. King, then maybe George Washington. What would I do if I had just led a successful war of independence and now the nation around me wants me to be their king? What would I do in their position? The trouble is that as fun as that can be for a short time, ultimately that way of thinking only ever leads us to beat ourselves down, because we always put these figures of the past on a pedestal of some kind. Even if we don't worship them, we think, well, gosh, I could never live up to their standard. And whether that's true or not is absolutely irrelevant. They were of their day and of their time and place, and we are of our day and our place. God has called us to be here in this time and in this place, and you are called to live by faith now, today. Opposition to God's kingdom and temptations that we face today may be clothed in different disguise. They may feel and look different than the challenges and the oppositions and temptations of the days of old, but they are no less real. They are no less deadly, and they are no less dangerous, and we are called to no less of a task of rejecting them and of enduring in our own way to the pressures that are put on us and being faithful to the gospel of Jesus Christ and to the kingdom of heaven. And so do not count your faith as small, insignificant, or worthless compared to the faith of King David or St. Paul. Do not believe that you are any less loved because you are not defending your faith at the cost of your own life before the seats of power in this world. God has a mission for you. God has a mission for you right here, right now, in this place. And God caused you to be born in this time, in this place, on purpose, for that purpose to which God has called you. And just as God equipped the great heroes of the past to do the work to which he called them in their time, God also has equipped each and every one of us to do the work to which God has called us in our time. Don't worry about how good, bad, big, small, heroic, or cowardly your job looks compared to the mythical heroes of yore. Be concerned only for accomplishing the work that God has given you. And if you're worried about any kind of legacy, just remember what I told you in my first reflection on faith. Finally, my third reflection on faith is that faith is not self-fueled. Faith is not fueled of its own accord. Faith draws its strength, faith draws its energy from a source, from a living center, and that living center is Jesus Christ. Friends, you are called as a disciple of Jesus to point the eyes of the world, to point the eyes of your neighbors to Jesus, who is our living center. You are not called to be the living center itself. Do not shoulder that weight. You cannot. You dare not. And that's okay, because Jesus already is our living center and is already carrying that weight just fine on his own. The faith which is celebrated in our text today draws its energy, it draws its passion, its insight, its power, its wisdom from Jesus Christ himself. We cannot know God personally. No human being has a hope of knowing God apart from his grace. Therefore, do not give up when you fail. Do not give up when you fall flat on your face. In fact, the most potent, the most powerful testimony, the most effective testimony to God's kingdom and to the good news that any of us can possibly bear to the world around us is not in our successes, but how it is we respond to our failures. How do you respond when you let somebody down and you know it? How do you respond when you have an opportunity to stand up and declare and unabashedly reveal that you are a follower of Jesus Christ, and instead you say, I do not know the man? How do you respond to that? There's a way that you can respond to that is faithful and bears a powerful witness. So stay close. Stay close. When you find that you've wandered away, come back. Stay close. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Fix your eyes on Christ, who is the author and the perfecter of our faith. The faith to which you are called, the faith that you are called to live by, rather, is not of your own making. Jesus is the origin. He is the wellspring. He is the beginning place of our faith. He is the author. He is the pioneer. He is the forerunner. He is the first one of our faith. And he is the first one of all legitimate, real, saving faith. And this faith with Jesus offers and gives to us to fulfill the mission to which we are called, is also perfected, made complete, made lacking in nothing by Jesus Christ and his resurrection life and in his power as Almighty God. The faith that we are called to live by is made perfect in every way, not by us, but by Jesus, who for the sake of the joy set before him endured the cross, despising its shame, and is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. So friends, press forward. Hear the thunderous crowd and know that they are on your side. But keep your eyes forever on Jesus. Don't look around, don't read the signs, don't read the comment threads. Eyes on Jesus and on Jesus only. Because when your eyes are on him and your ears are full of the noise of the jubilant crowd, then we can find the endurance that we need to run the race and finish it well. Amen? Amen.